successes that have been there?
First of all, I want to say that when we think about the genesis of Labor Day as a day that workers globally commemorate the Day of the Workers, the genesis itself is not a very good day that we could say that the genesis is out of a celebration mood, because we know that it is generated out of an industrial action that workers took in the 18th century, way back in America, and they were fighting for space and their rights, and more so it was to do with working hours. And out of it, out of a cool or a demonstration, it became violent. And out of that violence, it developed to what today we celebrate as Labor Day. So it means that the genesis is something to do with an upheaval or an outcry that the workers had. And so out of that, then the workers of the global workers, the workers of the world, felt that now, come 1st of May, people should come together as workers. They look at the challenges that they face together as workers, and they reflect upon them. And if there are any gains, they can also discuss about the gains. But mostly it is to think about themselves as workers and what brings them together, and how they can mitigate the challenges that come up as workers.
Right.
That is why, as we look forward towards every other celebration, we have talked about Kenya celebrating us from 1964.
Yeah.
And if you count 1964 to date, it's about 60 years.
Yes.
So if we look at it, always every other year, we look at what better thing can be made, what pronouncement can give the workers a spirit of hope in terms of gains. That is why people would talk about that our Labour's Day speech, if it ends, it should not end without some pronouncement.
Yes.
Good pronouncement of hope, of courage, and of an increment that shows that there is a recognition of workers.
Right.
So I think it is a good day to reflect upon the efforts of all the workers. And if we think about the whole world, everybody is a worker. Every other person is a worker, including the employer himself is a worker.
Okay.
So we want to look at what gain is there, or what brings together the worker and the employer, the owner of capital. What brings them together to think about them being an equal player in the industry, and so that they can share the gain.
Right.
Thank you.
Anything to smile about 60 years later?
It is a mixed reaction, where partly there's some gains, partly there's a lot of loss. Number one is legislation. We have a lot of legislations that try to protect the worker. Unfortunately, most of these legislations are not followed properly when it comes to now providing an umbrella or a protection to the worker. They are being violated most of the time. And as Kenya celebrate Labor Day tomorrow, we need to reflect how to protect the worker through these legislations. Because legislations, they cannot be effected if they are just in paper and they are not enforced. So as we celebrate tomorrow, what we want as workers is that as much as we celebrate, let us look at those legislations and try to enforce them. Because if we don't enforce them, there are a lot of workers who are suffering out there, from the casual laborers to contracted workers, to the permanent employees of the government, permanent employees of particular companies. We must all look at those legislations and try to make them work for us.
Okay.
So in terms of legislation, I think we are very much okay.
Right.
In terms of enforcement, still we are not very much okay.
And you're raising a very interesting point. We'll be listening to what President William Ruto said in 2023 in just a bit, but then before we get to what President William Ruto said at that time, Mr. Kulema, your sector is one of the biggest employers in this country. Actually, according to the Boda Association of Kenya, estimates that about 1.6 million riders in the country, 1.3 million of them being young people. So this really goes to show how much the Boda sector has actually employed so many young people. And the question would be, 6 years later as the sector, do you really see any milestones? Do you see anything to smile about, really? Are you hopeful for tomorrow?
Okay, thanks for the chance. Actually, on my side, I can say we have nothing to smile about. Because despite that, the Boda...
Nothing completely?
About 30% smile. But 70% we are not smiling.
Okay.
Because you can see, we are talking about billions. There's a report written by Boom. The report was saying the Bodas are contributing 6.6. Let me read it here. I have the report with me.
Yes, please.
So that I can be sure. 660 billion annually.
All right.
We are contributing. And also we are contributing 4.4 GDP. But if you compare, if you see a life of a Boda, and you compare it with billions we are speaking about, now you can imagine we are contributing billions, but we ourselves, our members are poor. Why are we poor? Because the billions we are contributing, some are going to government pocket through high tax, some are going to these lenders companies. They come, they give you a motorbike, you pay 1 or 3%. Some are going to online app. You see, you find a Boda guy working 24 hours. The service is his, but at the end of the day, he's paying for every trip he goes. You see, and then so we find at the end of the day, when he pays loans, you deduct every amount, every trip he goes through online. At the end of the day, this guy go home with at least 100 or 200 bob. So you see, at the end of the day, this guy is making billions, but in real sense, he doesn't have those billions.
But does the Boda